All right, welcome everyone. So today we are going to talk about financing your future and scholarship opportunities. So before we get started, I want to take a couple seconds to just talk about a little housekeeping item. So participants have been muted. We've muted all of your microphones to make sure that we don't hear any background noise, but I do want to make sure that you can hear me. So if you are having any difficulty hearing me, please make sure you use the raise your hand function or send a message to the chat box. If you have questions, I ask that you enter them into the Q&A function. We will address those questions at the end of the session as appropriate. I know many of you are taking your lunch, so we'll go through this fairly quickly, leaving some time for some questions at the end. And so now that we all kind of understand where we're at, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Jessica Voss. I am an Associate Director of Graduate Admissions. I work with our admissions and recruitment team for all of our graduate programs. I have been with the university for about 2 years now, just nearing in on that mark. So thank you for joining me today. I look forward to spending a little bit of time with you today talking about different scholarship opportunities for both our master's programs as well as our full-time MBA program. So what are we going to talk about today? Our agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about an application, what that looks like, what are the opportunities, some tips, and then most importantly, those next steps. So let's dive right into that. And so thinking about what's the first step to being considered for a scholarship, well, that's submitting your application. If you have not done so already, I highly encourage you to watch our application tips webinar that we recorded last week. It is on YouTube, and in that webinar, we spend a lot of time talking about what makes a competitive application for Olin Business School, what are the different components, and what does our admissions committee look for. So I do highly encourage you, if you have not done so, to watch that webinar. If possible, apply early in the process. That being said, we want to make sure that you submit a competitive application. So if you think you can write a better essay, you can get a better test score, maybe that GMAT's just not quite where you want it to be, take the time to submit when you are ready. So that as well, we do take a very holistic approach to reviewing applications. So when we're reviewing your application, each applicant is considered by the admissions committee using both an objective and subjective criteria. We're looking at things like your academic ability. We're looking at your professional potential. We're looking at those leadership qualities that you have. What examples have you demonstrated of leadership opportunities in your resume or in your essay from your experiences? How have you demonstrated those communication and interpersonal skills, whether that be through your application or through the whole process? How has that been demonstrated? Your demonstrated achievements. What awards have you won? What have you done in your work experience? What type of results have you been able to show that the company that you're working for? What's your motivation to get a graduate degree, specifically a graduate degree in business from Olin Business School? We also look at diversity, and we also look at candidates from varied backgrounds, skills, cultures, talents. So it's a very holistic approach when we're thinking about all of the pieces that go into your application. The next kind of thing I have about preparing, to submit that good application is about being engaged in the process, really learning about the program that you're applying to, taking to heart the tips that you have learned, whether it be from an application tips webinar or from a panel that you visit, or if you visit our table on the road and you meet us at an event, really taking to heart everything that you learn throughout the process. Meeting students, meeting faculty, meeting alumni, understanding the culture of the school and how you fit into that. I also want to make a special note to talk to your recruiter. Many of you'll have a point of contact here at Olin, and it's important that you start that relationship and start to understand, both your learning about the school, but also we'd like to learn what challenges you face. What are your roadblocks to getting a graduate degree? This might include scholarship or financial aid, and so really learning about those opportunities that are there for you and being engaged in that process is a big part of having a successful application. Now, what you all joined me to learn about, let's start learning a little bit about the different types of scholarship awards that we have. We're going to start by talking about our master's programs. So those are our specialized master's programs. All applicants are automatically considered for merit-based awards. These are competitive merit-based scholarship awards. They are partial awards, and there is no separate application for these awards. So all applicants are automatically considered for these scholarship awards for the master's programs. MBA as well, we have merit-based scholarship awards. all applicants are considered for those merit-based awards without a separate application. It is, again, a very competitive merit-based award, and they do range from partial to full tuition. So I want to make note that all of these merit-based scholarship awards cover tuition. So whether it be for the master's program or for the MBA, they are partial. For specialized masters, that is a partial scholarship award covering tuition. And for our MBA, the full-time MBA, they are partial to full scholarship awards covering tuition. Let's talk about some other opportunities we have. Now, these are full-time MBA specific, so we will talk about some specific opportunities that we have for our full-time students. A big thank you to our generous donors. All candidates are considered for those Dean's Merit-Based Scholarships, such as awards like our Family Business Scholarship that's there for full-time MBA students who are either from a family business or a family-led business or are interested in working for a family business as a non-family member. So there are special awards like that are made possible through our very generous donations. Again, those are separate, no separate application. They're merit-based scholarships that are awarded through the process. But I do want to talk about a few very specific type of scholarships that we have. Here at Olin, we are a member of the consortium. We are actually one of the founding members of the consortium, and this is a separate application process. I highly encourage you that if you are interested in applying to a consortium scholarship, that you do attend our school spotlight webinar that is on August 24th, and that will be hosted through the consortium, so you can learn a little bit more about what that application process looks like and how to submit your application through the consortium. The McDonald International Scholars Academy Scholarship is another effort to increase international diversity, and these are full tuition scholarships to international students who have graduated from very specific universities. This, again, is a separate application, and more information also is available on the website in regards to this scholarship. The Forte Foundation we are a member school of the Forte Foundation. It is there to inspire women in business, and all women applying to Olin are automatically considered for Forte Awards. We are starting to travel with Forte this next week. We will be at Forte events all over the United States, so I highly encourage you to come out and talk to us about any at those Forte events about the possibilities of those scholarships. For military veterans, we are pleased to offer Olin Veteran Association scholarships, which will vary from partial through full tuition awards for those who have served in the U.S. Armed Forces. Again, there is no separate application for these scholarships. By indicating your military service as a part of your regular application, you will automatically be considered. Olin is also a full participant in the post 9/11 GI Yellow Ribbon program. So we are very veteran friendly, and we thank them for their service, and that is another opportunity for scholarship. Through reaching out for the LGBTQ community, there is an MBA fellowship that's been created, and that is another opportunity for fellowship members to receive scholarship awards throughout the academic year. Again, there is no separate scholarship application for that. It's all part of your application for graduate school. I also encourage you to visit our website. There may be additional information about other scholarship opportunities that arise throughout the year, so I encourage you to attend sessions that we might have or visit the website to see what opportunities are available to you. And that goes back to that piece of being engaged with your recruiter and talking about the needs or what might be important to you and understanding those financial needs. So, a few tips. Watch the application tips webinar. Go back and understand what is needed to submit a competitive application. Be engaged in the process. Attend events. Visit campus if you can, or meet us on the road. We travel quite frequently throughout the United States as well as internationally, and we'd love to meet you at our table or out on the road. Talk to your recruiter. I can't stress this enough, to talk to your recruiter about the challenges that you will face. If scholarship is a must for you to be able to attend graduate school, have that conversation. Have that conversation about what your financial needs look like, and really be engaged in that process with your recruiter. Everything in the application process matters. And I say application process for a reason. Make sure that, when you are thinking about it's not just the application documents you submit, but it is that process. It is your engagement. It's showing interest. It's the communications you have with students or with alum or with faculty and with our team here at Olin. So, Let's talk now about some upcoming events because, like I mentioned a few times, our scholarships do cover tuition. They do. So when you're thinking about how you're going to finance your graduate education, you also want to think about how you might finance things like books or living expenses or travel. And so I highly, encourage you to start planning for this now. It's never too early to learn about those costs and to learn about the financial options that might be available to you. So I would encourage you to save the date for a couple events that we will have coming up in November. So November 15th, our financial services team will hold a webinar for international students to talk about international loan opportunities and what that looks like, as well as on November 17th for domestic students and to talk about what those domestic loan options look like as well. And so I do encourage you, like I said, it's never too early to start planning and start thinking about what those costs look like and how to, how you're going to work through that over the next 2 years and for your future. But I want to talk about next steps and what you're going to do now. And so when we think about next steps, I would say the next step is the application process. So let's go back to that, preparing that competitive application and what's required as a part of our application. We do have an online application. The online application you access through our website, and it's mostly just asking you for some data. You'll fill in some information, basically how to contact you, make sure that information is correct. You'll also enter in information on your undergraduate experience, your GPA, any postgraduate work experience. So it's important to make sure that you air check that information before you click submit. We also require an essay. It is 500 words or less, where we're really aiming to get to understand who you are and what is the journey that you have in front of you for graduate school. And so take the time to think about that prompt and to think about why a graduate education degree is important to you and how Olin fits into your journey towards your career. It is 500 words or less. Another tip here is to make sure that you air check this document, proofread. I can't say it enough. Make sure that you have done that, possibly even have a friend read it. So make sure that friend, maybe you don't give them the prompt and you ask them to read that essay and see if they can understand what you're trying to come across, how you're trying to come across and what you're trying to say about yourself, or if they understand that prompt. Another part to the application is your resume. Your resume is a very important part. This is really the snapshot of your professional experience to this point, any leadership opportunities you have had. Really take that STAR approach. So the situation, the task, the action, and the result. Making sure that you keep, leadership opportunities or work experiences very action oriented. So rather than just bulleting all of the tasks that you have done, thinking about how you might have saved the company business or something that you had an achievement at that organization. I also encourage you to visit our website for the Weston Career Center. The resume section of the Weston Career Center is unlocked. So you can actually see their sample resumes and download the Olin format, because I want you to remember this is a professional resume. And so think about that. Think about that as you look for ways to format your resume, that the Weston Career Center here at Olin, that section is unlocked and you can download a resume format from there. We do require standardized tests. We will accept the GMAT or the GRE. We have no preference. I really would encourage you to take practice tests of both and to think about which one suits your learning style best. We have no preference over which test score that we accept. So please, think about which one makes your application the strongest, and think about that as you're preparing your application. We will also require your transcripts. Now, here's a point a little couple tips. Unless you're applying for a master's program and you're still in undergraduate, your transcripts reflect something that you really can't change. So if it is an area in your application that you think you might struggle with a little bit, it might be best to take the opportunity to strengthen that, maybe through some additional courses, or maybe that's a time where you really want your test score to be very strong, because we do want to look at your academic ability. All right, deadlines. What's our deadline schedule look like for the upcoming year? So we do have 4 rounds. Our first deadline, our application is open now. So if you're ready to take that step, go ahead and submit that application now. Our first deadline is October 3rd, and then we will progress from there with round 2 on November 30th, and then round 3, which is also the International Student Priority Deadline, which is on February 1st, and then round 4 on April 10th. So keep those dates in mind as you're preparing. You know, typically when you're thinking about preparing your application, 6 to 8 weeks might be a fair amount of time, especially if you have not taken your GMAT or GRE yet. So think about that timeline as you're planning out your application. What are your next steps now? Start the application if you haven't already. Get your questions answered. Reach out to us at olingradadmissions@wustl.edu. We're here to answer your questions. That box is manned by our recruitment staff so that you will get a response within 24 to 48 hours. Connect with Olin. Visit us at an event. Visit campus. I mentioned we'd be starting our travel with Forte. Our team will also be traveling to North Asia, Southeast Asia, Africa, Latin America, and well around the United States this year. All of our events are published on our website. So when you're looking to see where we will be, visit our website and see if we're coming to a city near you. We love to meet you. And so please do that. We'll host many more of these webinars covering many different topics. So please, watch for things that might interest you. We'll be talking about specifically some of our platform areas through the coming months. Also visit campus. We have some events coming up on campus. October 7th is our preview day on campus. It's a Saturday where you would have the opportunity to come to campus and learn about our different programs, as well as a sample class and hear from our financial services teams, attend a session on application tips, and also hear from our Career Center. It's a great way to experience campus in a condensed day. Also, we will host Diversity Weekend and Women's Weekend later in the fall. And so those are some great ways to engage with us and to get involved in the process. And so with that, I will kind of skim through the questions here and see what kind of questions we have coming in. Let's see. There's a couple of questions about scores. I'm going to go back to something I said in the very beginning, and that the application process, most of our processes do not have a separate application for scholarship. So when we're looking at your application for scholarship, we're looking at your application in the same way that we look at your application for admission. It's a very holistic approach. We're looking at academic ability. We're looking at professional experience. We're looking at communication skills. All of those same things that went into consideration for your admission decision will also go into consideration for your scholarship opportunities. Let's see. I have some great questions about career. I'm going to pose those questions. Watch out for some upcoming events that we're going to have with our Career Center, where our Career Center is actually going to join us for those webinars and talk through different opportunities and different events and how they connect students with opportunities for jobs. So I do encourage you to look for those events and attend those events as well. We do not have any scholarship at this time available for the professional MBA program. The scholarships we have are for our full-time programs, including the full-time MBA, as well as our full-time specialized master's programs. There's a question about minimum working experience. There's not a minimum work experience for our programs. I do encourage you to look at the class profile for the program that you're applying to. Most of the time, if you're applying to a specialized master's programs, most of the students in those programs are pre-experienced, so usually 0 to 2 years of work experience, or very very strong internship experience. Whereas our full-time MBA program, our average is around 5 years of work experience. Understanding the cost of tuition and understanding the cost of a program is very important when you're making your decisions, and understanding what factors play into your future. It is a big commitment, but it's also a big investment for your future, and it can take you a lot of places. So certainly understanding that can be a big part of your decision-making process. There is no application fee for our full-time MBA program. There is an application fee for our specialized master's program. It is $100 for our specialized master's program. So that there is one slight difference between the two applications. I don't, on average, when we think about the number of scholarships awarded, they are very competitive for our specialized master's programs. Like I said, they do range from partial to full, and they are very competitive awards when we think about what is offered for our specialized master's programs. The preview day, someone had a great question about preview day. And I do want to share, preview day is for all of our programs. So preview day is a great way to visit if you're interested in more than one program, or you're not quite sure what you want to do. If you're interested in a master's program and you're not quite sure if you're interested in finance or analytics, that's a great day to visit. So we offer sessions on all of our programs that day. There's a sample class followed by sessions on all of our programs, and you have the opportunity to attend more than one of those sessions. So certainly if you're interested in the differences between the full-time MBA or the professional MBA, you could attend both of those sessions, or like I said, between two different specialized master's programs, you could attend both of those sessions. So definitely preview day is a great way to learn about more than one of our programs. I'm going to just highlight profile one more time, that there's not any minimums. I do recommend, if you're, want to have a conversation about your specifics, to reach out to one of our recruiters and have a conversation about your application and how you might make that application more competitive. And so I definitely recommend to reach out and have that conversation. Let's see. We do have some diversity-specific scholarships in terms of being a member of the consortium school, as well as those Forte fellowships. So I would highly encourage you to look at those opportunities. All right. I highly encourage, if anyone has any very specific questions about their experience, to please email us at olingradadmissions@woostel.edu so that we can connect you with a recruiter, so that you can have that conversation with a recruiter about what might be the best opportunity for you, or how to strengthen your application for that scholarship. That being said, I want to thank you for joining us today. We will record and put this on YouTube and send out that link. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out to us at olingradadmissions@woostel.edu. Thank you so much.